Your networking persona and your LinkedIn profile must be aligned, but must not be exact copies. And you must answer the question, why me? Only you can tell your story. You know what you want to emphasize. You know what you want them to take away. You know what themes will resonate with your audience. LinkedIn comes in as a part of your networking. It is about brand marketing yourself, and both are power tools. And like any power tool, you can hurt yourself if you don't use it correctly.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us for another Justia webinar. My name is Nina, and I'll be the moderator for today. Now, to kick things off, I want to go ahead and introduce our speaker, Mark Halpert. Mark W. Halpert, recognized LinkedIn consultant, specializes in legal professionals and law firms for over 25 years as an entrepreneur. During the last 15 years, he has served as a one-on-one coach and group trainer to individuals and professional practices. He offers his leading views on LinkedIn best practices and maintains that your ability to be relevant to others who want to know more about you and ultimately contact you is primarily dependent on your telling your career narrative, past, present, and a glimpse into the future. The webinar presentation that you're about to watch will be approximately 1 hour, and Mark will be taking questions from the audience at the end of the presentation. So if you have questions you'd like us to address once the presentation is complete, please feel free to submit those by clicking into the Q&A button in the control panel at the bottom of your screen. Furthermore, the PDF of the slides today will be available for download once the webinar is complete, so you can log into your Justia Connect account, visit the webinar page, and get those once the webinar is over today. Now, without further ado, here is Mark to discuss networking connections that convert using LinkedIn to attract clients and build authority.
Thank you, Nina. Nice to be back with Justia, and I'm delighted at the attendance. It's really wonderful to see so many people are interested in projecting their career narrative to make them resonate with people who might just stop by your LinkedIn, might be referred to you. What makes you really stand out? And that's the major theory that we're going to talk about today. So just like there's always a bird who's in front of the flock, I want you to be the leader of that pack. So let's just kind of get into a couple of housekeeping things. As Nina just mentioned, you will be able to have a PDF of the slides that I'm going to show you here today. Please hold your questions until the end. Nina will be kind enough to aggregate some of the questions if they're connected or there's some similarity in the questions. Please, no personal questions, because we really can't just answer everybody's personal situation. We want to make this very, very capable of helping people, everybody on the call. And if you have really personalized, individualized questions, that's where I come in as a consultant. I've been doing this for 15 years. I have learned a long time ago, much longer than 15 years ago, that when you tell, these are the magic words, why you do what you do, you can outshine some other similar legal professional, whatever you want to insert in those brackets, to make you a short list candidate. No one is going to buy just based upon what you say on LinkedIn. How you say it is really important. You want to make them understand that your past is the sum total of all the experiences and skills that you possess today. Your present is what they're buying today, and your future is where they connect with you out into the next, hopefully, few years. Everybody likes return engagements. Everybody likes clients to come back. I have a client who came back to me after 17 years. A little bit of an odd return on investment, but nonetheless, it is a very, very important thing, change in his life. So I'm really pleased that he came back to me after all that time. I have one client who's come back to me 5 times, every time he has something new that he wants to talk about, because he needs that guidance, and I appreciate that. And I know him, so I'm able to give him the guidance he's needing. So how do you demonstrate what we're going to call thought leadership? Do you just gesture? Do you share your work? Do you share others' work? How do you stay top of mind? Because you want to be recognized and you want to be referred. And these are just a few of the things that we need to understand in this presentation. So first of all, let's talk about networking. Networking, as best as I can define it, is what goes around comes around, and it's better to give than receive. It is not just dialing up or calling or emailing somebody and saying, "Hi, you really need me." That's what the effect is. How many of you've all received them? I get them daily, more often than daily. Somebody's wanting to sell me something. I don't know a thing about them, and that turns me off. You have to earn your networking stripes. Someone can refer you, but that's not enough to make them buy from you. That's where you need to demonstrate why you do what you do. So we're going to put a little bit of spotlight on your activities in a networking environment and realize that I'm networking to you right now. I network to Nina, and that's how I got these gigs. I am constantly on the show. That's what we do. You are too. This is part of your brand marketing. This is part of why you do what you do. You have to be sure that every message that you give every day reinforces who and why you do it. So networking is not indiscriminate, not selling without self-qualifying, not badgering, stalking, hard push. Everybody turns off to that. It is not unethical. That's a double negative. It is, I'll show you what it is in a minute. It is not egotism. I am brilliant, therefore you should bow at my feet and buy my services. That's not what we're here to do. It's not one and done. It is not one way, because you have to be careful of giving the image that you're as much to learn from your client as your client has as much to learn from you. And there's always the requirement for follow-up, even after the sale. That's when the time is best to reinforce the value you bring. So networking is referral-based. It is about connectivity, human, emotional, and intellectual connectivity. And you do have to earn it. You do not just get it. It is about qualifying yourself as a colleague, as a teacher, as a coach, as a legal professional to provide the education that the law has taught you that you could provide to the lay community. It is about listening to the pain points, pressure points that people have. It is about inserting your new ideas to relieve those points. It is about being ethical, and I'm not going to touch on the ethics requirements, the guardrails that you operate between, but nonetheless, you can contact your local bar association or read this voluminous material on the changes in ethical behavior based upon the change in social media, the way your field has changed. It's about meeting expectation and exceeding expectation. It's about seeking the best return of the business that you're providing, because they want to rely upon you going forward. It's about your reputation, which creates referability, and it is about follow-up. It is about service. It is about being top of mind. It is about being referred, because that's really important. So these are all very high level 50-cent words. So to be a trusted advisor, you need to earn the respect, be memorable, and nurture relationships. And you'll hear me throughout this presentation make the same point in different contexts, because no one learns by hearing or reading it. Once they have to see it, and it has to seep into their psychology that you have any of these things: patience, stamina, continuity, fresh ideas, visibility, branding, referral, expertise. Not necessarily in that order, but for whatever they're looking for. You do not know what motivates your buyer, your potential client, your prospect. So LinkedIn comes in as a part of your networking. It is about brand marketing yourself, and both are power tools. And like any power tool, if you think of a chainsaw, for example, as a power tool, you can hurt yourself if you don't use it correctly. You can damage your reputation if you don't use networking and LinkedIn correctly. Or you can, a little bit better than losing your reputation, fade into the background. That is not what we're here to do. You're here to be efficient and to use the right tool in the right time with the care that you provide for the right situation. So you have to know when to ask for assistance. Your prospect needs to know to ask you for assistance. It's a two-way street. What goes around comes around. And this is done before you first meet them, during the dance that we do to earn our client, and after the project is over or after the situation has relieved itself. But you always want to see these wonderful smiling faces whenever you come back to them, to know that you achieved the warmth and the reliability that you wanted to achieve. So I use a word, I made up this word called amazinger. Everybody, any of you, I could talk to you and ask you a few questions and find out what you are amazing at. And you will want to tell that story because that's what makes you different. But I, as the receiver of that information, have to see how you are amazinger than the 4 or 5 other referrals that someone else gave me or other people gave me that compete with you directly. So you have to self-assess. This is really hard. Introspectively, take a look at yourself from 30,000-foot view. Are you welcoming new clients? Would you buy from you if it were a change in relationship? Do you say the things that are interesting? Are you saying them quickly and concisely, given the short attention spans that people have today? And are you continuously improving and making your brand new, bright, and engaging? And this is a sign that a picture I took right in a restaurant. Come on in, we're awesome. Which was just made me stop in my tracks and said, this is the amazinger concept that I'm trying to convey. So you can be amazing, but until you tell somebody else or convince somebody else that you're amazinger than all the other competitors, they are not convinced. Mastering networking and mastering LinkedIn takes time. They each have their own logic. They each have their own rules. And the rules change as the environment changes. So how we network today, post-COVID, is really different than how we networked pre-COVID. How we approach people, now we have to have a plan. We have to master the image, the ideas, the steps of that plan over time, because you do not get necessarily to invoke that plan step by step the way you did for the last client. Sometimes you have to leapfrog from one step in the plan to another. You have to be really able to roll with those punches. It takes patience. It takes experimentation. It takes in the back of your mind saying, I can't mess this up. I can only make it better every time I try it. So yes, there will be crumpled pieces of paper all along the way, metaphorically. You will always be changing the way you network and how you network through LinkedIn. And again, here's another time when I'm going to reinforce why do you do what you do? How do you stand out from the crowd? How are you different, the yellow figure, amongst all the blue figures that all sound the same? Let the blue figures stay boring. You stand out from the crowd. You tell stories. We love stories. We remember stories. And they are images that never disappear. And we can reinvent them as we go along, as we gain new stories of work that we did. So every time you have a new story, find a way to follow it up. Find a way to tell that story. I have a great way to do that, and that's called on LinkedIn, or work it into your networking spiel. Whatever you need to do to stand out from the crowd. You want to eclipse that competition every single time. No two of you, now we have 132 people on the call, are alike. You all have something different. You all came from some place in your past. You all are at a different place right now in your present, and you will all be someplace different in your future. Again, I'm repeating past, present, future. Please be yourself, be honest, be authentic, but be relevant. Do not talk to a prospect in a way where their eyes glaze over. They will not listen. They will not accept anymore, and they shut down on you. How do you do that? You do that through stories. or war stories of experience that make you memorable, that relate to the situation. And you build that brand and you keep making that brand cleaner, more concise, and you nurture it for throughout your career. No matter where your career took you, maybe you didn't start as a lawyer, maybe you became a lawyer after a number of years in corporate. Who knows? Everybody has that different story where no two professionals are alike. A lot of us struggle to talk about ourselves. And I was born in a period, probably before a lot of you, where we were taught not to talk about ourselves, not just in school, but through clergy, through parents. We were told to sit in the back of the classroom and just slurp down the information we're given and give it back in a test to show we had mastered it. Well, that's not pertinent anymore. Not in today's what I call new now marketplace. You need validation. You need to recreate your brand, but you need to tell it in your own story. So don't be like this guy who's scared to death to talk about himself and is covering his mouth. Be willing to talk to somebody about the things that you want to share, much like I'm doing right now. Show passion. We just came back from a store not too long ago where everybody in the store is boring. They seem bored and that we were bothering them. Turns me off immediately. Don't go through the paces. Show the things that excite you and how you can help somebody else. We have lots of places to do that in networking as well, especially on LinkedIn. Most people feel like they're dragging themselves through the mud. This is the worst situation and the image that came to my mind when I left that store. You need to get over this. You have great capability of talking about why you do what you do. What goes around comes around, and it's better to give and than receive. These are ideals that you can knit together. So you create a tapestry, a rich, colorful tapestry of all the threads that you bring together in how you come to the market. Be a superhuman. Only you can tell your story. You know what you want to emphasize. You know what you want them to take away. You know what themes will resonate with your audience. No one can tell it as well as you can, because anytime I let anybody else tell my story, they never tell it the way I want it told at that moment for that situation to that audience. This is your opportunity. Elevator pitch in networking. LinkedIn has plenty of places, which we'll cover in just a little bit, but be superhuman. Leap from buildings with a single bound and stop locomotives everywhere you can. So there's a wonderful book out there called Start With Why, which is a great place if you've never had to go through this type of exercise for yourself. Why do you do what you do? How do you articulate that? This book will definitely give you the mental capacity, the mental guidelines to what you want to say. If you don't have time to read the book, watch the TED Talk by Simon Sinek, the author. And there's the YouTube for 18 minutes. I think you can afford 18 minutes investment in yourself, but I recommend you read the book. It's a very fast read. So your networking persona and your LinkedIn profile must be aligned, but must not be exact copies and must speak to the reader. The reader has to be engaged. And you must answer the question, why me? Why do I do what I do? Here's where I came from. And then the casual reader will hopefully be compelled to contact you. So you look at this bullseye in the picture. The why is the bullseye on the dartboard or on the archery board that people stress. You want people to see your why, but very few people and organizations do a good job of talking about their why. What is easier? That's your resume. Please do not ever copy and paste your resume or your law firm bio page into LinkedIn, because that's cheating and your readers are going to flee. They will not stay around. You can talk about what in a way that will make people understand why you do it, but emphasize why. Why do you help people? Why do you love to come to work to help people? Let others say, that guy Mark Halpert, he says this is why he does it. Let me tell you how well he does it. And that comes in the format of a recommendation on LinkedIn or somebody referring you for the purpose that you want to be referred. So those are two ways where these come together. Please be very aware that this is completely up to you. You can only get them to contact you, and after they contact you, it's completely up to you. I can't help you beyond that. I can only help you understand how to get people to want to contact you. What happens after that is completely in your capability. So your elevator pitch. Really need an elevator pitch in everything you do. There are speech coaches out there. There's lots of video. There's lots of ways. Really, you want to come into the middle of your elevator pitch for somebody who's got brief memory, doesn't have a lot of time. They need to walk away with an impression of, you listened to me. I hope you'll remember me. Please ask me. Use a story. Use colorful verbs and terms to paint that picture, and repeat the end theme at the end. And this is a picture I took, and it was in motion at a conference. And conference attendees are of limited and very distracted mindset. They're looking to buy. You need to make them want to stop to inquire. That's the parallel I'm trying to draw here in the elevator pitch. And then you need to say everything you do in your networking as well as LinkedIn, starting with the pronoun I, or using the pronouns me, my, and mine. Never bullet points and verbs. That is resume talk. And you're not hearing me say anything resume talk here. And use powerful verbs. In the left-hand corner, you see a wonderful link to 185 powerful verbs. Now, you're all highly educated. But when it comes to talking about ourselves, we relinquish the education and we use the words was, made, had, and did. And that, to the average reader, turns them off. You're not giving them the benefit of the education and the experience you have when you use weak verbs. So use the right verbs to convey the voice and the personality, the gusto, and be business class, and use complete sentences, never stiff, to overcome the reputation that way too many lawyers have about not being engaged on a human level, only being automatons. You never want to give that image, because not everybody you're speaking to is a lawyer or an attorney who is interested in you. Some people are corporate people, or they're buying your personal services because they need your personal capabilities for their own needs. This is where you never know who's watching you, so you want to engage as many people on as many planes as you possibly can. Color and motion. They make memory. Words, as I said, verbs in the previous slides. Branding, logos, photos, PDFs, slide decks, video, podcasts, interviews, chapters you wrote. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me how active you are. Tell me where. And you can do that on LinkedIn very easily, so we can see the engagement you have in your field, where you're pathfinding new ideas and concepts. Weave those narratives and themes. They'll remember better when they see and hear the color and motion you're providing. And this slide really reinforces a lot of what I'm saying here. It takes a lot to find the right way to engage by shaking hands over business. That narrative, always active voice, strong verbs, all of that. But see all these words that are around this picture? You can talk about your learning, you can talk about your knowledge, you can talk about your experience, your ability, your competence, all that stuff. But the real thing that binds people is, you have the skill I need. I need to buy your skill so you can relate that skill to my specific requirement. Skills are the fulcrum. Skills are the thing that makes us listen most. And how you relate those skills, hopefully through stories and hopefully through your experience, is the thing that makes people want to buy from you. A very, very important aspect of your LinkedIn profile is skills related. And we'll get into that in just a moment. So again, past, present, future, your experience, where you are today, indicates where your future is. We buy your services, not necessarily for now, but how we'd like to ride your coattails into our respective futures. They are listening to join you in the time continuum of your brand. And stories. Make sure they feel the sunshine. Make them want to know more of what you know. And this takes practice. Not everybody's going to be scintillating, but be as scintillating as you possibly can. I use that verb, or that adverb in this case, very, very responsibly, because that's where people want to know why you do what you do. And this is all a big mixture of strategies. So this quote came to me not too long ago, and I really love to throw it in here. The people we surround ourselves with either raise or lower our standards. I'm sorry. Oops. This isn't just about professional networking, which I will continue to talk about. It's about the air you breathe every day. Make it part of you. Who is truly in your circle? Do they show up with standards day in and day out? Not just for their work, but for their outlook, their well-being, and how they treat others? That's the people you surround yourself with. That's you being part of the people that others surround themselves with. No person becomes great on his or her own. The people around you help to make you great. So you are surrounding yourself with people who will read and remember and offer your name when they come across a situation where they can help somebody else. That's a huge point that you need to carry away with yourself with this. Okay, so we are now ready to go into the networking part of LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very large database. At the end of the day, 1.2 billion people on LinkedIn all over the world. It operates 24/7, 365, and it operates on mega warp speed all day long. No matter what time zone you live in, no matter what field of the law you are in, you also need to put the spotlight on yourself from the LinkedIn point of view. Because when somebody wants to know about you, the first place they look is not necessarily going to be Google, it's going to be LinkedIn. And if they do look for you on Google, more than likely, the first thing they're going to see is your LinkedIn profile. So you better be practiced and scintillating, shall we say, from the previous slide, on your LinkedIn profile. Okay, this is brand marketing. This is efficiency, ethics, professionalism. Again, know when to ask for assistance. Know how to offer your assistance. It's that two-way street. What goes around comes around. And follow up before, during, and after any encounter so people are, as these people in this picture, hanging on your every word. Hanging on your every word on LinkedIn and your LinkedIn profile so they look, how do I get a hold of this person? Where's the contact information? How do I put it? How do I get that? So this is relationship marketing. You need to tailor your LinkedIn to the recipient. You need to plug into your audience, as the picture shows. You need to tell people how you're being active and contributing to your field. You can use video. You cannot use video in networking, so I'm giving you another opportunity to make yourself visually and pictorially active and memorable. Like in real life meetings are fine, but you can't always do that. I can't meet all 135 of you any other way than using social media, and Zoom is just one more example of that. Always make sure your recommendations are ethical and your endorsements are true. We'll get to that. And link to your marketing, maybe your firm marketing, maybe your firm's website, maybe your firm's bio page. Every way should be easy to find you and get a hold of you. Tell your career narrative, use the right wording, use the right multimedia, brand yourself as often as you have something interesting to tell, and ask and encourage referrals. I said I'll do that. Do it again and keep doing it throughout your career. Stories on LinkedIn. Again, different person, bask in the sunshine. Make them want to know more. LinkedIn is like a novel. They will not get to contact you unless you make them want to continue to read down to qualify you that you are the right person to contact. So you get an opportunity in a banner of your picture. You have a really great headshot. Shall we call that chapter 2? If they like the headshot, they go to your headline. That's the most important couple of lines you'll have on your LinkedIn profile, where they make the decision yes or no. They want to continue. They go to the about section. They read the about section and your about section with ways to contact you. Then they'll read your experience, chapter, until they know that you are the right person, or you have been referred to them as the right person for the right situation. So this is all about thinking of the buying experience that your prospect is. This is an out-of-body experience for you in a lot of ways. How do you tell it best? Again, strategy. What themes do you want them to carry away? What details do you want to give without being too detail-driven? What do you want to accentuate? What do you not necessarily want to touch on? Because we all have things that we'd like others to know about us that are buying points. Don't get them mired down in the muck. No one can tell it as well as you can. And get on that board and write on that board, that LinkedIn board, every chance you get. Every chance you get. And see, she's writing on a Post-it. Pick up that Post-it and rearrange that Post-it so you're always keeping your LinkedIn profile ready, fresh, newly written. And every quarter, I go back to my LinkedIn profile and I put it on my calendar, review what I've said. How else could I say it better? Or what am I saying and doing now that I didn't say a quarter ago or half a year ago? Because I'm always changing with the times and with the clientele I have. And likely that's the same situation for you. Again, you're building trust. I have these 3 R's. Make them trust you by you being relevant. Make them trust you by you being reliable. Make them trust you enough to refer you or to thank the person mentally that referred you to them. And then you have built that trust. It is a process. It is an effort that continuously goes on. You are never finished creating these 3 R's. And then we have the 4 C's. Everything you say on LinkedIn should be concise, should be cogent. That means intelligently presented, not presented in a factoidy type of way, as I like to say. Everything is consistent throughout your profile so that you're giving the same and more information to make them make a decision. And that makes you compelling so that they're, like this picture, hanging on every word, as I showed you before. Again, I'm repeating the same thing so you get the concept, the parallels between networking and LinkedIn. So this is a networking toolbox. It is ideal because it operates all day long, when even when you're not available or asleep or away or whatever. LinkedIn changes a lot. LinkedIn changes a lot to be competitive, and it changes a lot because they keep finding new ways that resonate with their ever younger audience. So learn the changes. You do not have to know every change. You do not have to understand the algorithm. In fact, no one understands the algorithm of LinkedIn. So don't try to second guess the monster, because it is a hungry monster and will take all that you have. Anybody who says they understand the algorithm is working with information that is very old, and the algorithm has probably changed many times since then. If you come to LinkedIn with a plan, an outline, a storyboard, and you begin to master the imagery and the concepts that you want each section to convey, you can create a great LinkedIn profile. But like any power tool in your toolbox, it must be used right. So again, I'm saying the same thing twice, but for good reason. Your LinkedIn headline, those lines underneath your picture, your headshot, are like a newspaper on a newsstand. Notice me, choose me in a quick glimpse, in a quick gulp, and then they'll want to read your lead paragraph in the About section on LinkedIn, which is 2,600 characters long, which is a ton of material, and the largest single section of LinkedIn, and for good reason, because this is the place where decisions likely are made. So make them want to read all about it, like the newspaper hawkers used to say. down to as far as you can get them to read, but they will not start unless they fall in love with your headline. And then they have to fall in like with your about section and end your about section with ways to contact you. So the rest is up to you, because they're going to have questions and you're going to have questions, but you can't get to that question and answer until they know that they want to contact you. And they do. Again, I and powerful verbs. Can't repeat that enough. Color and motion. But this is your best opportunity for individual branding, using all sorts of visual imagery, because visual is very memorable, especially video right now. And LinkedIn gives you many opportunities to use video. And just a word to the wise, if you put it on YouTube, it will translate into LinkedIn best. And that's what I use. Show and weave the narratives and the themes that you want them to understand with every touch point. And they will remember when you have given them color, motion, and great wording together. Much better than just reading you in black and white. Let's talk a moment about, we were talking a little while ago about Simon Sinek and how the why is what you talk about, the how is what other people endorse you or recommend you for. So you can say your brand, but when others reinforce your brand becomes even more realistic because it's coming from somebody that somebody knows, or other people have said things about you in context. So you can say anything you want on LinkedIn within reason, within ethics. There's really very little you can't say. It's what you should say. And I get a lot of people say to me, well, I never said that on LinkedIn, or somebody put that on my LinkedIn and I didn't approve it. Well, that's not true. So no one can say anything about you on LinkedIn that you did not allow or let stay on LinkedIn or did not approve. Your endorsements of your skills, after you've selected your right skills, what people endorse you for are just a quick click of a button on their mouse and they go on. And you are required to understand who clicked you for that skill and did they ever experience that skill from you. If they did not, you are ethically bound to get rid of that person as an endorsement. Take the endorsement away. On recommendations, you ask for the recommendation from selected individuals. It should be skills driven. And you ask them to relate a story when they saw you demonstrate that skill and in its excellence as well as anybody could do. And they tell you that story. They tell that story. Then they send the recommendation back to you in draft format, and it is up to you to review it and decide, is it ethical what this person is saying? Because you just gave them the bare bones minimum about what you're looking for and given them the creativity to surround that. And do you want them to rewrite it? And then if it's as perfect as it can get, you approve it, and then it's posted on your LinkedIn. So again, nothing is on your LinkedIn profile that either you did not put there or that someone else put there as an endorsement or recommendation that you did not approve. A lot of negatives there. Other people giving you accolades adds tremendous exponential credence to the things you say you are good at. And when I know somebody who is adding an endorsement or recommendation and I respect that person, then that adds just to the credence even more. So your wow factor, your voice expands, as you see in the picture, exponentially when you use endorsements and recommendations properly. Your audience's tastes and needs change a lot, much like a chef. Tastes change. Things, what is your special of the day, of the week, of the month, of the year? Tell the relevant materials with your comments as a thought leader. Thought leadership is earned. It takes a while. Weave them into the stories for best impact and add quality frequently, not once a month. That is not frequent. Add it as often as you have something to say in a post. Add it every time you read somebody else, and just don't give them emojis and thumbs up and smiley faces because that is undereducated banter. Tell why you like something. Why do you appreciate that person's comments? Create that conversation. We'll get into that in a bit. So just quickly about things that have worked well on my profile. I planned everything I put on LinkedIn. I retweak it every quarter. I use I and rich verbs and active voice all the time. I like to reflect on the personality I'm giving or that people can rely upon me to give to them through my activity and my thoughts. I like to think of it, my LinkedIn profile, as chapters in a novel. So as they read down as far as they can go, they understand what I bring to the table. I do repeat myself a lot in different ways, in different contexts, just like I'm doing with you now. I talk throughout my LinkedIn profile with why I do what I do, even when I owned 3 businesses, because I found the overarching aspect of what made all 3 businesses resonate through me. And I use quotes from other people. I use graphics, I use audio, I use video to remain memorable. I use color, I use action. I use ats in front of names to invoke people's attention, comment in words, and I would say I never use an emoji. I curate content for others as an interpreter, as a lens through which I can be seen as a leader in my field. Because there are a lot of charlatans who claim to be LinkedIn profile experts or LinkedIn trainers for law firms or other organizations, and they're just not on top of the material. I see this all the time. And I use keywords in every searchable section of my LinkedIn profile to be found in the search. Where are those search areas that are very hot right now? Well, I already told you your headline is perhaps the shortest, but perhaps the most intense area where you can make them understand in a nutshell, in a quick gulp, why do you do what you do? You get 220 characters. It follows you all over LinkedIn. You have to collapse all your user experience into 220 characters. It's hard to do. I'm still revising mine, but it's not impossible. After the headline, the about section, as I said, 2,600 characters, the largest section on LinkedIn. It is a lead paragraph in the newspaper article, and it further elaborates. You saw my headline. Let me tell you a little bit more about why I do what I do. And it allows you to add graphics and video generally about your career. If the words are worth, if a picture's worth 1,000 words, video's worth 1,000,000 words, because this is where the activity is going right now on LinkedIn. In your experience, you're going to talk about each position you ever had. Maybe you had several positions in the same firm. You get 2,000 characters for every position in that same firm, or when you went to another firm, or maybe you own your own firm as a solo, or you work in a corporate environment. You talk about accomplishments driven skills you honed as you went on. Why are they applicable from their past to today? How can somebody get a piece of that going into the future? Again, graphics and video and logos of the organizations you worked at. And finally, skills. Skills are the fulcrum of everything we do on LinkedIn, and you must choose the right skills so that you can be found for the skills in the search engine, but these are skills that people are looking for and that you demonstrate, and every endorsement must be managed to be sure that that person who endorsed you really knows you for that skill. Because all too often, I've found this a lot, people endorse me for every skill I have, whether they know I have that skill or not. I don't have ethics requirements in my field, but I certainly have honesty and integrity, and I want to be sure that I take those endorsements from people that do not know my skill away so the image is not incorrect. Grammar, typos, syntax errors, and mixed formats. On your LinkedIn profile, we are hiring you for your attention to detail. Please be sure that you've done more than just spell checked your LinkedIn profile. There's something on Microsoft Word that not a lot of people know about. It is called Read Aloud. And you can have an artificial voice read a Word document to you, and you will hear things that you will not see by reading through for typos. And I wrote 2 books that way, and I will tell you that every time I wrote a manuscript and had it read to me, I felt that I could have done a lot better, and I trashed it and started over to get to the very best I can be. That's where you ought to be. Not to write a book, but to write a great profile. And please be careful about the formats you use in various iterations of your LinkedIn profile. Don't say Mr. Halpert did and Mark does and bullet point verb and I love to help people do whatever, use consistency, show that you've taken attention to detail for best first impressions. They will take off and never come back if they're not getting the warm, fuzzy feeling that you're the right person for them based upon the words and how you present them and the way you present them. So let's talk a little bit about content, create this culture of content about you. You should be adding content frequently on LinkedIn. It's never a matter of using an emoji to like something on somebody else's content. Tell why. If you're the originator of this culture of content and you're adding a post, give an opinion or comment educationally as frequently as you have something valuable to say, as often as it is important to add to somebody else's post. This helps you stay visible, reliable, relevant, all those R's and all those C's that I showed you before. There are 4 major sections to practice continuously on your original posted content, and these are them: know, feel, believe, and act. And let's talk about those. This part of the presentation comes based upon a presentation I sat through by Cheryl Dixon, a Columbia University business professor who teaches public relations in the B school there. And I asked her if I could twist it and make it pertain to LinkedIn, and she gave me that permission. So thank you, Cheryl, wherever you are, because I really appreciate that. This has become a cornerstone of what I teach. What do you want your connections and followers to know that they don't know yet? How can you share reliable material and cite the material source? How can you network with those that you admire and trust if you can't give them something to admire from your post? How can you offer your study, your research, your experience? How can you seek others to contribute to your post and make a communication, make a discussion out of it? And how can you evaluate developments in your field for non-law related people that you work with? This is easy. You can do this. You should do this as often as you have something relevant and interesting to say. You'll be amazed at how the more you practice this, back to the previous slide, practice makes perfect. The more you practice it, it is easier and easier to share great material. But that's not where it stops. You're not just a fountain of information. You have to make them feel that the information you're giving them makes them more curious emotionally. It has to appeal to them cerebrally more than just what you're saying. So hopefully they come back to you so you can give them more of your insight. You have to make the reader appreciate your contribution. Or you can make someone else feel good by appreciating their contribution using the right words. So again, it's 2 ways. You want to make your work a part of theirs, you want to make their work a part of yours, and you want them to be confident in relying upon you to make them not only know something new, but to feel that is something that can help them in a new and exciting way, much like the look on this little girl's face. So you have them know something, you have them feel something. The hardest part is make them believe something they never believed before. Maybe as a result of this new knowledge, it's a new feeling, there's going to be a fresh viewpoint, a new experiential conclusion. Research has developed into something new, and they can adapt those beliefs into where we are today. So everybody works as a team. You are part of the hands on this team because you got them to know, you got them to feel. Now let's make them all work as a team and believe together. And teams are 2 people or more people. But what do you want them to know? What do you want them to feel? What do you want them to believe? And finally, the most important is, what do you want them to do? Just don't click away. So there's inertia on LinkedIn where people read and leave. Make yourself the ball that is in swing, and make it knock the other ones and get them going, get them vibrating. You want to share your content. Ask others to share your content. Ask others to comment on your posts. And it's fine to say, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? If you disagree with me, professional opinions are requested. If you agree with me, let's converse, let's engage, and maybe we will take a negative opinion and make it into a learning experience for both of us. Refer me to others. Please send this to 5 of your favorite friends or 5 of your favorite clients. They'll remember you for sending that. I have a concept called Network Up, where you are able to talk to people that you might not normally ever meet in your business life. And you can use LinkedIn as the fulcrum to do that by using new knowledge, new feelings, new beliefs, and explaining, I would like to meet so and so. Anybody know that person? I'd like to engage with them in a conversation. And that is a huge, huge gift that you can give yourself, and they can respond back to you accordingly based upon your material. How can we help each other? How do we do this? So I am not a brain scientist by any means, and these areas of the brain just seem to fit nicely. How do we want them to know? What do we want them to feel? What do we want them to believe? And finally, what do you want them to do? Please always have a call to action on every post that you put out on LinkedIn, and they will remember you for that. There's a brand new article that just came out late last month. And today's October 6th, I believe. So September 23rd came in. Really excellent article. The link is on the right from Forbes magazine. And the summary just spoke to what I just showed you. LinkedIn now prioritizes value over vanity. To succeed, share actionable insights. No. Engage meaningfully in comments. Feel. Offer solutions for productive procrastination. You have to read the article, get that definition. Believe. Leverage analytics to tailor content, all of the four above, and include clear calls to action. So I've been talking about this for 2 years, and I was so excited when I saw this article in Forbes. Master these rules to boost your brand and business growth on the platform. So I challenge you, all of you who are out there, there's 131 of you listening in, whenever you have a success about using one of these 4 ways to use your posts to expand your reach and network up to people you might not normally reach, please let me know your story. I would love to hear those success stories, because that's what I'm here to do, add value to your world. So kind of catching up here, think about, how do you want people to see you? How do you want them to click know more about you? How can you be creative in what you say? Let's leave the emojis, the smiley faces, the happy clapping hands, all that stuff. You don't use capitals, italics, or bold on LinkedIn. And please, attorneys, use white spaces between paragraphs. And for the benefit of those of us who are not attorneys, use short paragraphs. 4 lines of content is plenty of room to make your point, and give them a link and give them a call to action. Invoke people, invoke companies. Like I did one today. Thank you at Justia, because they were nice enough to put a post out about this presentation. So everybody that follows Justia saw that I was thanking them. Everybody that follows me was seeing that I was doing a presentation for Justia. These little tips make your name and brand resonate all over. And like I said earlier, end with a call to action, and be sure to comment back with appreciative comments within 24 hours and hopefully less. So summing up here a little bit, LinkedIn profiles are great when you add continuous high quality content to complement them, to show your thought leadership and create networking opportunities for you, and attract motivated audiences. Just like being at a rock concert, they're all fired up. You want to keep them happy throughout the relationship, throughout the fandom. And I went to high school with this guy, Marcus Aurelius, and he was very smart, always smart in high school. And he said, look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you ever dig. So getting all of this on your LinkedIn profile and getting all of this into your networking routine requires you to dig deep inside of you. And it will bubble up if you give yourself that opportunity instead of dragging yourself through the mud like I showed you in a previous slide. You have it in you. Create the opportunity for it to fountain out and through your eyes and mind and into your LinkedIn profile, and it will create networking opportunities like you will not believe. I have seen it in my 15 years of experience coaching others. So if you want to know more how I work, I have a quick little animated video about working one-on-one as a coach over 4 90-minute sessions with my clients. I also have another animation, and the links of all these animations are just below, about how I do group training in firms, in organizations, in nonprofits, in NGOs, in departments, you name it. I have trained in all sorts of organizations. I love training in an entire firm. Each practice area gets a different form of the training because you can't talk to marital attorneys like you talk to corporate litigators. I wrote the book for the American Bar Association. It's still relevant, and it's a few years old now, and it's available to you in the American Bar Association or on Amazon. It is a field guide to how to use LinkedIn well. It is not step-by-step, and it is certainly not written for dummies. It's in second edition. So if you do order, use these links because you do not want to buy the first edition. Believe me, second edition is so much better. And this is where you can find me. My business card, if anybody uses business cards anymore, but my QR code to my LinkedIn profile, my QR code to my blog. I put out a video every Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock Eastern time. I have one coming out tomorrow morning, which is kind of fun. I do this every time I have something to add, and it is frequent because that's my job, to be a role model to people in other fields, and I hope I've been able to give you that benefit today. So I am just shy of an hour. I did it again. I kept it within the hour. So good for that. So let's stop sharing my slide. And what do we got, Nina? Have some questions?
Thank you, Mark. Yes, we do have a few questions in the queue. I just want to remind you all, if you do want to submit questions, you can click that Q&A button in the control panel at the bottom of your screen and send those on over. We have a few, so I'll go ahead and get started. Our first question is, are there LinkedIn features like newsletters, creator mode, or video posts that tend to resonate more with professional service audiences?
Really good question. First of all, great content resonates no matter how you use it because so much content is terrible, boring. So you will step out if you use these 4 know, believe, feel, believe, do. And I use long form posts in a newsletter when I have a try again, complex concept I'm trying to totally cover. Instead of breaking it up into chunks, I want to put it all in one place. Creator mode, there's no creator mode anymore. They took that away. It became just various aspects. There is something I didn't touch on called featured section, which is like shining a spotlight on something you're doing, which I really love to do. You will find my animations in my featured section because those are things I like to showcase. They're business generators for me. My last article I wrote might be there, a presentation I'm giving, a story I want to tell people, quotes that came back to me, those types of things. The content is awful. The content is poor, especially in the legal profession. And you have this great opportunity to lead in your thought area, in your field of expertise, in a way that you didn't know, but you have to want to try. So if you do it once and you fall off the horse, get back on that horse and keep pushing it out there, because that's the only way to learn, and that's the only way that others will relate to you. Good question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, for that insight. We have 2 more questions. So the next question is, how do you measure whether LinkedIn networking is actually converting into meaningful client relationships or referrals?
The acid test is, does somebody contact you? From there, I can't help you. But if they contact you, if you see that they looked at your profile and then they contact you, then you know you've made an impression. And it's not too forward to say, hey, Nina, I see you looked at my LinkedIn profile. I see you're a friend of my friend so-and-so. I'll just use Arturo. Arturo and I go long back. Went to graduate school together, whatever it is. How can I help you, Nina? And at first she goes, I'm not so sure I want to respond to this, but we've invoked Arturo and he's the common denominator. She might have already spoken to Arturo. You have so many different things up your sleeve that you can play. It is essential that you get started somewhere or create that start for yourself.
Thank you, Mark. Our last question for today is, how can attorneys use LinkedIn effectively if they're restricted from sharing details about past cases or client outcomes? How would you recommend building a narrative with that in mind?
Well, you don't have to talk about the name of the client. You do not have to talk about the decision necessarily. It has to be within the ethics requirements. And again, I said this is not something that I want to focus on today. If you have ethical questions, you can go to your ethics officer in your firm, or you can go to your local bar association, because I can't talk about ethics in Louisiana like I can talk about California, or I can talk about New York. There's no parallels here. You can see what your colleagues or your competitors are doing, and you can find your style notes to use, sketch it out, draft it out, take it to the ethics people and say, I'm thinking of saying this. What do you think? And, the ethics officers I talked to, and I did a session just for ethics officers once, which was fascinating. And they kept telling me, we tell them to make a change and they basically disappear. They feel like we've slapped their wrist for something. We're here to help. So don't go to your ethics officer with the fear and your tail between your legs. Go because you want to understand. And once you understand, then you can go from there, and never feel afraid to ask for assistance. That's what they're there for.
Thank you so much, Mark, for taking our audience questions and sharing all of your insights with us today. We've really appreciated having you back here with us at Justia. And thank you all so much for submitting your questions. We always really appreciate your participation. So we want to thank you for joining us today. Before we close, I do want to remind you all to connect with us on social media. Following us on LinkedIn is a great way to stay connected to our professional community, join the conversation, and see what's coming up next in our webinar series specifically. And if you're on Instagram, that's where we share quick updates, highlights, and reminders so you can stay on top of all of our announcements. Those links are in the chat if you're curious and would like to check those out. So be sure to follow us and make sure you never miss an upcoming event. Thank you all so much for joining, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy it, please click the like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos on law practice and legal marketing. See you in our next video.